How's it going, guys? It's CoRazón coming at you with another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to create a cube audio visualizer inside of Apple Motion. And I would just want to give a little bit of credit where credit's due. So first of all, shout out to Simon Ubstill for helping me with this tutorial. He's a really experienced motions graphics designer and visual effects artist with the Apple Motion software. So definitely recommend that you check out his YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel down below, and feel free to become a Patreon to him as well, because you get access to pretty cool tutorials and even help from him. So that's really cool and very appreciated. This tutorial is based off of a audio visualizer that deadmau5, or more specifically BSOD, his group with Steve Duda, they created a cube audio visualizer in the 2020 mix, and I'll leave a link to that mix down below. So I'm just recreating that cube audio visualizer. So let's open up the project, go into File, New, and then we're going to be setting the preset to 4K Ultra HD. You can set it to broadcast HD 1080p if you'd like. Also, frame rate is going to be 30 FPS, and duration is going to be 30 seconds for my case. Okay, that's where the seconds are. These are where the minutes are. Put the minutes down here, and then the seconds down here for your song's length duration. Okay, let's open up the project. Right here, we can go to our media panel. We can right-click to import media, or we can just press this button right here as well in terms of importing our media. But I'm going to be importing media through the right-click method. We're going to be importing Journey's Friend. This is going to be a new song that I just created in June of this year. It's a little bit more updated than the Bad Business, so I'm going to be using this one from now on, at least in this tutorial. Maybe I'll use something else in a different tutorial in the future. Let's go into our layer. So we were just imported Journey's Friend. That's fine. Let's actually import a circle real quick. Do Option Shift so that it becomes like this. Let's label this group Cube right off the bat. Let's actually import our media right now. Let's import our audio. So it's imported. We can see that it's imported right here in this timeline up here. We can just go into the audio timeline right here, and we can just edit it as we like. So I'm going to be editing it right up until this point right here. So I'm going to be pressing I on the keyboard to remove the excess, pressing O to remove the excess, and let's put our playhead right in the front again. So let's go into our circle. Let's go into Inspector, Shape, Fill. Fill is checked, Outline is not checked. Let's go into our fill color. Let's go into color palettes right here, this option right here. Go into crayons. Let's scroll down until we find Maraschino, this kind of neon red kind of color. Exit out of that. And then let us actually replicate this, obviously highlighting what you want to replicate, so it would be the circle in this case. So replicating button right here, and then the shortcut is L on the keyboard. So let's now turn on 3D. Let's turn on face camera. Set shape to be box. Let us set arrangement as tile fill. That's fine. Let's set the size to be 700. I prefer 700, but you can put from a range of 600 to 700 for the size. Just keep that in mind, guys. 10 for the columns, 10 for the rows, and 10 for the ranks. Origin is going to be right. Just wanted to mention that once we start animating this cube, you already saw the demo, but there's a lot of cool things that you can do with the sequence replicators, but also with the origin. I'm just going to set it to right because I personally like that position for the origin, but you can fool around with different kinds of these parameters and see which one you like. So now let's go into opacity gradient. Let's click that downward arrow. And then let's click this button right here. Let's go to Atlantic Blue. Let's go to this color node right here. Let's click on the color, and let us actually go into RGB sliders. Let us put this all the way to the right, every single one of these sliders to the right. So the hex color is 6Fs, and let's actually put location to be 0% right there. This one right here, this color node right here, we just press this, the color box. Let us actually go into color palettes. Let's go into crayons again. And let's go up to steel. Okay, exit out of that. Let's actually put location to be 100%. Okay, let's actually put the scale to be 30%, something like so. So now it looks something like this, guys. So now what we can do is click on Replicator, click on Properties, reset position to be reset parameter. So now it's dead in the center. Now it's just close off cube. So we're going to minimize it, then close it. We're going to add an object. Let's add a camera. Switch to 3D. And let us actually close the camera off. And then what we're going to be doing is setting actually cube to 3D. So we need to set it to 3D. This is very important, guys. So we need to unlock it first, set it to 3D. And then let's actually go into the right side. And let's actually move this to be closer to the camera. Something like so. Doesn't have to be super close, but something like this is pretty good. Get out of right and go back into active camera. Now what we need to do is go into our replicator, guys. And then what we need to do is go into properties. Now we're going to start our animation. Go into rotation. Let's set X to be add parameter behavior. So we just need to click on this downward arrow right next to the keyframe and then add parameter behavior, oscillate. Okay, phase is going to be 2. And then speed is going to be 8. And let's just rename this to be organized. So it's going to be oscillate X. And then let's go back to properties. Let's actually go into Y this time. Add parameter behavior, oscillate. Let's set it, let's just leave it as is. Let's rename this as oscillate Y. Go into properties, go into Z rotation, add parameter behavior, oscillate. We're going to set this to 4. I'm going to set this to 4 as well. Okay. So now let's render this out and see how it looks. Let's actually rename this first before we do that. And let's actually, so oscillate X, Y, and Z. Okay. Let's render it out and see how it looks after we rendered it. Okay, we've rendered it out. Now let's play it. Okay, so it looks something like that. Obviously, the Journey's Friend or my song isn't mapped to it as of right now, but it will be in just a little bit. Going back into Cube, let's go into Replicator. What we need to do now is actually go into behaviors. Let's go into Replicator, sequence replicator. So let's add a sequence replicator. This is what I was talking about earlier, guys. Sequence replicator, then we can label this sequence scale. Add a parameter, it's going to be scale. And then we're going to be setting this to 10%. So let's set the sequencing to through. Unit size is going to be object first. What we need to do is actually set this to 10. Keep in mind that this is very relative, okay? You might want to use bass frequencies or mid frequencies or treble frequencies, whatever you want to use on your audio visualizer is up to you guys. So just mess with these sequence replicators to actually edit certain pretty cool visual effects that you can do in accordance with the origin of the replicator. So this thing that I was explaining earlier, so we're in replicator and then we can edit the origin to be in different positions, right? So it's going to be pretty cool what we can do with this. But this is just one variation of what you can do with this Cube audio visualizer, okay? So let's go back into sequence scale. So object, again, we're setting this to 10. We're setting the spread to 10, but we're going to switch this now to all. Okay, this is very important, guys. But we have object spread to 10. So just keep that in mind. It is still applicable even if we switched it to all. Okay, so we're going to send it like that. We're going to set the end condition to hold. So we're going to actually set the traversal to be custom, because we're going to be mapping the location to the audio, okay? Before we add the audio parameter behavior, let's actually go back into Replicator. Let's actually add another replicator, sequence replicator. Let's label this opacity. Okay, let's add parameter as opacity. Let's set this to 20. And let's set sequencing to through. So the unit size is going to be object at first, and then we're going to put the spread to 10 again. But we're going to be setting this to all. The spread is still at 10. Traversal is going to be, again, we're going to be doing custom. We're going to be actually mapping the location to be to our audio. End condition is going to be hold. So we have sequence scale, just so that we're not confused. We're going to be highlighting that. So it's sequence scale right here. Location, we're going to be adding parameter behavior audio. We're actually going to edit the parameters here first, and then we're going to be putting in the source. So just keep that in mind, guys. So let's add the graph range to be mid. For my case, again, you can play around with this as you like, guys. This is very relative to your song. And then we're going to be setting the peaks to smooth, setting the scale to be 1.3, adding our source audio. So we're going to be adding the Journey's Friend. Okay. Now what we need to do is actually rename this to be audio scale, so we're not confused. Okay, so that was audio scale. Now we need to go to sequence opacity down here, and then we need to map location again to add parameter behavior audio, add the parameters again, and then add the source audio. The graph range is going to be mid. So this is again tailored to my specific song. Peaks are going to be smooth, and then scale is going to be 1.5 for my case. Okay, now we're going to be adding the source audio, Journey's Friend, and then we're going to be renaming this to audio opacity. Let's actually render this out and see how it looks now. Okay, so now let's play it and let's see how it looks with the audio. So that's how it looks. Looks pretty cool in my opinion. Now what we need to do is actually close this off. Let's close Cube off. Let's go into Library. Let's actually go into Particle Emitters. Let's scroll down. Again, we are in the icon view mode instead of the list view mode. So icon view is better than list view in my opinion, because we can actually see the icons. Go all the way down until you find threads and debris. Okay, we're going to put this in, and then we're going to minimize this. Let's label this particles. Let's actually close that off. Let's actually move the camera up. Let's move the cube up. So something like that. So the particles are going to be the last layer. Keep in mind that this is layering. Obviously it's layers in the layers panel. Whatever's on the top is going to be on the top. Whatever's on the bottom is going to be on the bottom in terms of the screen as well. So let's actually go into our particles. Let's actually unlock this. Fuzz A we're going to delete. We're going to go into thread and debris, and let's delete center. So we deleted those two. Now let's go into debris right here. Let's go into inspector. Let's actually go into particle cell. Let's change the color over life to be burnt ember. Let's go into scale over life. Increment type will be natural scale. I'm going to put this to 40% for the scale at death. Let's actually zoom out. So let's go put this at 25%. Let's go into the threads and debris. Let's just label this debris, not threads. We don't have the threads anymore. We have the transform orientation tool right here for the debris now. So let's press Option and Shift. Let's actually zoom this out. Zoom this out, and then let's center it. Snapping is on, so that's good. Let's actually do something like this. Let's right click. Let's actually go into anchor point. Let's actually move this to be in the center like that. And we need to put this all the way to the end. So our playhead needs to be in the front. Just keep that in mind most of the time so that we can do this fairly easily in terms of putting this out to the end. So press O on the keyboard to remove the excess. Okay, so let's close this off. Let's lock it. Let's close it. Let's actually reset this to be fit. And then let's render it out, guys. Okay, now let's play it and see how it looks. Our final version of this. So it looks something like that, guys. What we need to do is actually share it. So let's export it. Export movie default. Let's use these settings. Broadcast HD 1080p would be 1920 by 1080. So just keep that in mind, guys. That'll be your resolution, but just copy everything else that I have right here if you'd like. Or if you have your own preference, you can edit it as you like. Render would be use canvas setting. And let's just transcode it. Let's just save it. 3D cube tutorial, AB tutorial. And let's save it. And we can look at our transcoding progress right here, and I'll fast forward it. Okay guys, so it has finished the transcoding progress. Now let's enter full screen mode. And let's see it. So yeah, that's how it looks, guys. So yeah, if you like this video, guys, please leave a like and have a good day. Peace, guys.
Bye, have a great time.